Soon, FDC positioned itself as the opposition and started fighting everybody else for the loser's cup. Why should people fight over the loser's cup? So DP was demonized and smeared as a Museveni Trojan horse. I was not a leader of DP by then. FDC then made an agreement with a clique which called itself Subi. Some of them, you see them now. These are the political mobile units. They called it Buganda Subi 2011. Many of their leaders, they ran for parliament under DP ticket, but supported Dr. Besigye. I was singled out for the most vitriolic hate campaign. If you were not supporting Besigye, you are not opposition. We stood our ground. That was 2011. I was a presidential candidate. Dr. Besigye became number 3 in Acholi, where he was always number 1 with overwhelming majority. The point is, you can't take people's support for granted anymore. So 2026 is going to be totally different from what we have seen before. Because now we have so many other groups. So the attacks on our leadership became more intense. A group known as IPC, which we refused to join. So here are people who believe in human rights, they believe in freedom of association. But if you don't associate with them, then they attack you for not associating with them. But what if I don't want to associate with you? So the bad blood continued, and we went for EALA elections. Before the EALA elections of 2012, FDC and NRM used to sit and agree. NRM would take 6 seats, and FDC would take 3 seats. It was okay. Until DP said, no, Parliament must elect. So Fred Mukasambide, our vice president, and DP went to court. We kicked the door of EALA open. When we kicked it open, FDC ran and said, no. We must now boycott the elections. I said, but why were you not boycotting for the previous 10 years? We agreed to boycott. The late Matia and Subuga went for a meeting at Katonga Road, and they signed officially that the opposition would boycott. I wasn't an MP, so I took a walk to Parliament. I found Salam Musumba vigorously. We talked to everybody. Fortunately, there's nobody in the politics of Uganda who I do not know very personally and very closely, and who I talk to. And that makes the difference between me and the others. So while they can deceive you, for me, they cannot deceive me. Because I've seen them in the day, I've seen them in the night. I've seen them dressed and even undressed. Politically speaking. So they were preaching water but drinking wine. Now when Mbide was elected, they said he was elected with the support of NRM. But if my goal is to win a seat, am I going to call a rally and say, we hereby reject the votes from NRM MPs? What sort of stupidity would that be? You see, you choose your friends depending on your objectives. And DP is very clear about its objectives: to support the process of having peaceful change in Uganda through constructive engagement with the National Resistance Movement and its leader. Others, we call them regime change fundamentalists. They are saying he will go. But do they have capacity? If a man who has 5 liters of fuel tells you he's taking you to Mbarara, you would be an idiot to enter his car. A very big idiot whose head needs to be examined. Because I must first see your capacity. Because if I promise you something, first assess me. Do I have the capacity to deliver it? It may sound nice, you know. But with that group, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Instead, there is more tunnel at the end of the light. As indeed you are seeing more tunnels. Some people thought they had seen light, but after the light, they are now seeing a longer tunnel even. So it follows, therefore, that the path DP has taken is based on logic, it's based on historical experience, and it is the most viable because it takes cognizance of the real situation of Uganda. The so-called alliances that are created, the agreements are made and broken at the whim of whoever feels like. You know that Mavike was supposed to be the official IPC candidate for Kampala Lord Mayor. Out of the blue, they supported somebody from Subi, Elias Lukwago, as Lord Mayor. That's why Olaro Tunu jumped off the IPC, and eventually the others also jumped off. I won't bore you with the details of TDA under Amama Mbabazi. So, those who don't want to move with us, we also don't want to move with you. In Buganda they say, ensenene tezibuka na nzige. Grasshoppers. By the way, I'm a life member of a Chibina Cholimi Oluganda. So allow me say my things. I know the difference between Janzi. And on my bedside, I have MB Nsembi's book, Siwa Mutorugero. I doubt whether you have a copy. So, there are those who must first say, wherever you are, then they jump. That who has the mandwa, I hear. But if the mandwa is taking you to a wrong address, even if I find a new car, but if it is not going where I want to go, why should I enter it? I'd rather enter a ramshackle vehicle which is moving slowly towards my direction. So I am really wondering what has happened. I want to assure members of DP that before the end of March next year, we shall have held our National Delegates Conference, where we shall elect leaders of the party. And those who are plotting about DP, please be part of the process rather than plotting. Because it is the Secretary General to invite you to the Delegates Conference. So the easiest way is to recognize the leadership of the party. Because you cannot deny the legitimacy of the leadership, but again you want to participate. We want Ugandans to put their hope in the right group. And I think the real hope, which is practical right now, is what DP is doing through its conversation with the ruling party. Remember, to lead Uganda, you need 50% plus 1 vote. By the way, you don't need everybody. You can even have 49% of Ugandans against you. Still, you will hold the Bible and be sworn in as president. So, There is no, you can have all the crowds of your 49%. That's okay. That makes our democracy lively. But the one who will be exercising power is the one who has 50% plus 1. And right now, DP is interested in being part of that majority. Plus 1. So we are not going to waste time quarreling about petty rivalries. Deal and rid of those who are confused and those who don't like to abide by the party constitution. That is why some of them have even left the leadership of the party voluntarily. Nobody has chased them. So we need to work towards a new consensus. The Luwero consensus can no longer work to build a better future for Uganda. Just like the consensus of Kabaka Yekan UPC collapsed, the consensus of Lancaster House collapsed, the consensus that took out Idi Amin, the Moshi consensus, collapsed, the Luwero consensus has also collapsed. So we wish to invite those who are willing to use their heads to come so that we have this wider conversation. The people outside Uganda who may be exciting Ugandans around the election, I heard that there was a ship docked at Mombasa, that it was supposed to come and liberate us. Let us liberate ourselves in our own way. We can pick a few lessons from other countries, but we must find our own solution, because at the end of the day, we don't want any part of Uganda feeling that they have been left out. We are promoting the idea of a national dialogue and reconciliation. Now, in my capacity as minister, I'll soon be tabling the bill that the president announced long ago, the Transitional Justice Bill, which establishes the National Dialogue and Reconciliation Commission, so that we talk about the pain we have all borne. Somebody may talk about Chitalia, I will talk about Buchoro. My daughter Barbara will talk about Mukura, where a train wagon was used as an oven for roasting human beings alive. These are things we have to talk about. So everybody has their pain. So if you are here and you have a sick leg, maybe I have a pimple somewhere, I don't want to lecture you about my pimple. Let's just say that everybody has a story in this country, and we need an institutionalized approach to deal with it, and only DP can deal with it through what we have started, because the other alternatives are bogus, I can tell you. Eventually they are all going to end where we are, because they cannot raise that 50% plus 1. Even if they have 40%, there will be commentators. So I want to be part of the doers, not a commentator. And I who is trying to disrupt. I hope Ugandans realize that even those with the strongest differences in opinion still have many things in common. We are now in conversation to see what happens to the cooperation agreement beyond 2026. As you know, the cooperation agreement, which I drafted, by the way, is only for this term of parliament. It is not open-ended. But now you find people who have not even read it are experts on it. You know, like those of you who quote passages from the Bible, and then you turn yourself into experts. The cooperation agreement was a result of very sober reflection. I've said it before. It was not about looking for a job. If it was about looking for a job, I was offered the job in June 2021. And the job was vacant. You were seeing it every day, that there was no Minister of Justice for 1 year. Where did the salary go? And I needed that salary, by the way. Yeah, for sure, who doesn't? Unless you are deceiving yourself. I needed it. But I had to forego it because that was not what it was all about. Now when I talk, some people say, oh, why are you talking like that? Others are saying, why don't you now join NRM? I know how to join NRM. I don't need advice from you. And if that's what I wanted, I would have done it. So let us be where we are in our Democratic Party, because that is our duty. DP is not private property. I'll never put it in my will for my children to inherit, because it belongs to the members and it has a constitution.
The promise of electoral reforms. The second question will be, former Justice and Constitutional Minister of the Republic of Kenya was recently denied participating. More specifically, the Democratic Alliance, what do you foresee in their agenda and their promise for a new day and a new life?
Sympathetic to anybody who is trying to do something to solve Uganda's problems. So I can only wish them luck, but I think my best advice is that they should listen to my advice. I've been advising the opposition for many years. So finally, you have to listen to Mao eventually. I have been in this conversation with petty radicals, including my own Acholi people. In 1997, we were in London, and they told me that I was a traitor. What am I doing in Museveni's parliament? So I also gave it to them. I told them, by the way, you are big cowards, you ran away, that's why you are here in exile. If you are courageous, you should be in the bush. You claim to support coin, but you're a bunch of men without balls. Thirdly, you were in the Tito Okello government. You had control of all the money, you had the guns, you had an army. How did you lose power? First explain before you start blasting the rest of us. If you were in power, there would be no Museveni, there would be no war in the north. So stop obscuring facts here. So Museveni is only a symptom of Uganda's problems. And they say to get the area of a circle, you need pi. So to craft the future, we also need President Museveni. The new formation, I was out of the country because I needed to go and sign a treaty to support the young people of Uganda to join the knowledge economy, because that's where the real money is. So I had gone, but I was also busy in another city, The Hague, because the government doesn't have enough money to send many people out. So I was commuting between two cities. So I was only following patches of it. I never had I actually have no idea of what the occasion was really about. I think it was like a parade. You know, So if you ask me how was the parade, it was nice. They marched, they displayed their weapons and so on. Some of the weapons backfired. But I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because really, DP has already done what should be done. Here is a president who I think is not hostile. Of course, he wants to continue being president, but he also knows that there is the biological clock is ticking. That's why every statement he makes, he starts with Bazukulu. So, if you are sensible, you'll now be crafting an agenda to engage President Museveni collectively. So the majority of those who are criticizing DP are criticizing DP because we have done very boldly what they have been thinking about. You know, it is like a poor boy with no resources who has the courage to approach a beautiful girl, and the girl starts engaging with him. Then those who are jealous, they start saying that girl is a prostitute, she has been with so and so, she has been with so and so. But so that is what it is. There's nothing new they are saying. We have decided to do what some people think should not be done. But DP doesn't believe in political untouchability. We should touch even our biggest opponents. If you don't talk to those who disagree with you, that's not true reconciliation. If you are only sitting with those who you love, that's not even revolutionary. So I think they know the right thing. So I can only say let's wait and see how it happens. But they need to stay away from loose cannons. You know, loose cannons tend to backfire. And that would really be my advice. Every day there's a new formation. Holy Alliance, Unholy Alliance, don't know what, Democratic Alliance, Front for Freedom, this and that. Then another one. I think we need some birth control now in these formations. They are, and then others form, then they disown them. It's all sign of lack of clear thinking. The major attribute of a leader is to be a clear thinker. So I don't mind people deceiving me, but I'll never deceive myself. So sometimes people gather and they believe a similar lie. So I don't know whether it is an alliance or a lie or whatever. Let's wait and see. But eventually they will all come where we are. That one I can tell you. Now concerning the issue of the Honorable Martha Karua, I've seen the letter which was written to her. And by the way, I'm not a member of the Law Council, and I don't think it is my job to tell them what to do, because we must also respect people's independence to make a decision, including a wrong one. But all laws provide for appeal processes. I've seen the president of the Law Society has written complaining. I've not received any formal complaint from anybody. Maybe they believe I can't do anything. But my view is that you let me first go and look at the file. The people of the Law Council, they are part of us in the Ministry of Justice. But we don't do their work. They do their work. You know, sometimes people even call me and say, tell the judge to decide like this. I tell them that, well, the only time I write to judges is when there are administrative problems, so that they deal with the administrative problems. Either there are unnecessary delays or their rights are being violated. But then I don't give directives, because the people to give directives are there. There are ways. So we will try and use the soft power of the office of the Minister of Justice to ensure that if there's any appeal, it is heard fairly. But in terms of the law, those of you who know the law, the council has already made its decision. They said no. They gave their reasons for saying no. I'm not going to tell you what I think about the reasons they gave, but let me go and do what a responsible minister can do, to have an honest discussion with them, and if need be, we shall advise them. And you are saying it is undermining the spirit of East African community. I need to find out how easy it is for Ugandans to get rights to practice in the neighboring countries. Maybe there's a precedent, but I do believe that there are appeal procedures. I don't think the decision can be final. It can be challenged. In any case, like the president of the Law Society said, you are free to choose your own lawyer, any lawyer that you want, depending from wherever you want them to be, and they will have to be given the right of audience. I think the decision can be reviewed, and it can also be appealed, because if you are aggrieved, should be able to, and she's definitely aggrieved. What was your other question?
Promise of the electoral reforms.
Now that one, I don't want to use this platform to discuss it. I am going to address a separate press conference, purely as Minister of Justice, to talk about all those things. And we shall invite all of you, because there are many things that are happening. I told you once about some of what I believe are the most critical, but like electronic voting. But the real question is, are the laws really our problems? I think sometimes we are putting a lot of energy on saying the problem are the laws. I think what we need is to change our culture, including the political culture of organizations. We must learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. All the political parties have very good constitutions, but how come they are busy fighting? Even here, we have been fighting. We have so many court cases, because most people are actually potential dictators. And I think many people, if they had the power to rig, they can rig. But the problem is toxic politics and lack of political hygiene, which really has nothing to do with the law. For instance, why do we have torture? Isn't there a law banning torture? We even have an anti-corruption law. So how come corruption is so prevalent? So let us also not start pretending here that the real problem is really the law. Britain doesn't have a constitution. Have you ever heard the British saying our problem is the lack of a written constitution? They don't. But they know that there is a certain culture. Once the parliament has moved a vote of no confidence in a prime minister, however much you want to cling to power, you write your resignation and take it to the king. Then the journalists will say the king has accepted so-and-so's resignation. Then a leader is designated, and that leader is basically the leader who leads the majority in parliament. That's how you had the Theresa Mays coming after Boris Johnson, and then this other one, and so on and so forth. So then the king receives you. So it is that culture that we need to develop, to put our personal feelings out of these things. In Uganda today, you find Electoral Commission saying, NBS, you can't announce results, but the presiding officer at the polling station has announced the results. So if NBS announces those very results, then what is the problem with that? You are a news reporter. You are saying breaking news. Mao has won in Balintuma A polling station. Now you get a call. No media house is allowed to broadcast results. But that is your daily business, to gather and broadcast. Even if somebody picks another person's pocket, maybe only the pickpocket would complain that why are you reporting that I've picked somebody's pocket. So I think the real problem in Uganda, from my personal view, is really just the culture, not pieces of paper. Our grandparents were married happily. They never had no marriage certificate. They had no wedding rings and so on. And they brought up wonderful families. And now we, with our many marriage and divorce law and so on, say I do convoys, big receptions, exchanging rings from rings that can build a small house, then the thing is not there. So let's focus more on preaching really a culture. The Greeks realized that everybody can lead. And we could even do an experiment with LC1. Why is LC1 election so expensive and so complicated? All we needed to do is to gather together and we say, we elect 10 people. The one with the highest votes becomes the chairperson. And then that chairperson will appoint the rest, defense, secretary, and so on. You can even do it by ballot, by the way. You don't even need to vote. Because in the village, who can't really lead the village? And the villagers can probably gather and just denounce those who they think are unacceptable. They must say, Mao. If everybody unanimously says no, then immediately I must just sit down. Then out of those who have been accepted, we throw their names in a basket and we pick. We will get an LC1 without any fuss. That's how the Greeks used to live. And the term was, because you did it often, you can even say you do it every year. So you know, however bad a person is, they are not going to stay there for more than 1 year. There are many models we need to deal with. One day in South Africa, somebody told me that we should have now electronic voting. How do these Makerere students vote for their guild president? Electronically. Now, most people have... okay, I hear they are complaining, but it's because of the cost of election. That's why decision-making becomes sort of mysterious. So, I insist that even while we are going to put some laws, the real problem really is the political culture. That's my honest opinion. You have a follow-up to operationalize the transitional justice policy, which was passed in 2019. So this is what the long title says. To provide for and foster fair and peaceful resolution of conflicts in Uganda through a direct and independent national reconciliation process, to provide a framework for management and operation of formal and informal justice processes in post-conflict situations, to address the gaps in formal justice system for post-conflict situations, to formalize use of transitional justice mechanisms in post-conflict situations, to facilitate reconciliation and nation building, to provide for the integration of the people in addressing the historical causes and patterns of violent conflicts and gross violation and abuses of human rights and related matters. It's a very sensitive topic because before 1986, from 62 to 86, the O'Day Commission dealt with that issue. You remember the report on violations of human rights. Then the Constitution came and established the Human Rights Commission. But between 86 and 96, nothing has been done. And for the parts of Uganda affected by war, those are the most important parts. Teso, Acholi, Lango, where the wars were, West Nile. But this is a matter which many people are very uncomfortable with. I think I told you once that I got reports that the office in the Ministry of Justice where it was believed that the bill was being kept was broken into. Of course, those were very stupid thieves because now documents are not physical really. You can even hide them in cloud, on flash disks. But still that tells you that even while we all want the truth, I don't know whether any of you here, however holy you think you are, if we had means of playing the video of your life on screen here, don't know whether you would agree that we start showing videos of your entire life. I think you would say, no, some of those should be edited out. Yeah, so the truth is, not many people can handle the truth. South Africa tried it. That's why they have a semblance of stability. In Uganda, we need a truth and reconciliation process. So where some people who are alive are going to be associated with gross human rights violations in Luwero, as it was done in the O'Day Commission, in the north during the war with the insurgents there. So a country should be prepared for it. And I really appeal to the media to advocate for that. We are also going to establish a war victims compensation fund. Because right now, everybody is talking about cattle compensation for the north and the east. And Luwero has become just now an endless thing. There are so many people in Luwero who are waiting to be compensated. Nothing has happened. Kasese, and so on and so forth. So, by creating a war victims compensation fund, we can do some measure of reparations. Of course, it will not restore dead people, but at least it can console. So those are, for those who are interested, when you come to the press conference we are calling, we will really share copies of the bill. This is important for you to know. The bill is supposed to be brought by Ministry of Internal Affairs, but I'm the chief promoter under the cooperation agreement. Your second question, when we were learning the art of advocacy, we were told that some lawyers would ask people in court, when did you stop beating your wife? So how are you supposed to answer that? You now have to start denying first that you have ever beaten your wife. So most people who I see on social media, either because they don't like DP or they don't like me, they don't want to give DP credit for anything, they don't want to give Mao credit for anything, so their questions are very cynical. Okay, let's say the cooperation agreement has achieved nothing. So what have the others achieved? I don't hear you asking them that you have formed this. So DP is the party which is treated very, very unfairly always by the media. Because I have never asked you, had you ask the people who lead opposition in parliament, what have been your achievements? I have never heard it, at least. But the one of DP, they are always saying, so when is your promised transition? That Museveni omujja koddi. So did I enter the cabinet to overthrow the government? I took the oath to serve as Minister of Justice. And we want a peaceful and stable Uganda after President Museveni. But if you also want a chaotic one, it will also come. And I will be there, you know, because DP is always warning people. The cooperation agreement elaborates processes. So it is you to give us feedback. I think the main achievement is that we have shown that it's actually possible to have a written cooperation agreement with President Museveni. Because people always thought he only signs agreements with those who are shooting at him. Indeed, I think we are the first civilian organization to ever have a cooperation agreement. Some of your fellow journalists said we must have bewitched the president. How did we achieve that? How did we negotiate? Secondly, there was no go-between. It also showed that we can keep secrets. I used to come here and tell my DP leaders that we are in discussion, but I don't think they took me seriously. You know, people have gotten so used to the situation the way it is that even if you are trying to change it, they fight against you rather than at least leaving you alone. Number two, we have changed the conversation. Everybody is now talking about dialogue. There's now hardly any opposition politician who you would ask, are you willing to talk to President Museveni? Say, yes, but everybody now says yes. So the cooperation agreement has been a game changer. The other main achievement is that it de-escalated tensions. Whatever you think about DP is capable of causing a lot of tension, by the way, in this country. We are the ones who are at the heart of walk to work. One day I will tell you who coined the word walk to work, and you'll all be in shock because you are giving the credit to those who actually had nothing to do with it. When I was in prison for 2 weeks, I wrote some things. I think I should publish it. Then you'll know. We are the ones who launched Koji Kwatako, which was stronger. Later, it was popularized as Toji Kwatako, and we led that. So those who are attacking us are feeling our absence because we eventually got tired of comedy also and decided that, you know, politics is contact sports. You must go where the person you want to influence is. So however much you come to Balintuma, I'm not the one in power. So if you influence me, what can I do? So I need to be trying to influence President Museveni. And I am there, and he listens. So the stated goals of this cooperation agreement are processes. Number one, peaceful presidential transition. I believe it will happen. Whether I will be there or not when it happens, I hope somebody will make a speech at my funeral and say he made his contribution. And then we also talked about national reconciliation, which is not something you can switch on and off. Then you have national dialogue, which also you cannot switch on and off. Then constitutional reforms. These are the four main objectives. These are processes. So your legitimate question is it a good seed that can germinate or not? One time, my two sons planted maize. One planted a proper seed capable of germinating. One planted roasted maize. Even though we told him it would not germinate, he insisted, and he went and planted it. So when one of the older ones started germinating, He felt so bad, he went and opened up his and said, why is it not germinating? So I think the proper question is whether what we have done is capable of bearing fruit. Not whether it has borne fruit and how much fruit it has borne. I have seen married couples who have their first child after many years of marriage. So I think, given that this is the first time we have attempted this thing, I wish people would invest more in supporting the process. The DP leaders wasted a lot of time attacking it, and as a result, they even weakened it further instead of owning it. Even the other opposition parties would have now said, can't we now have a wider cooperation agreement with NRM? I think we would achieve more. And you know, we were not the strongest opposition party. But just like David is the one who went and brought down Goliath, the five-star generals are still on parades, but for us, we are in the battlefield already. Let them do their parade, play their band, and so on. It is okay. For us, armed with our sling and our stones, we are already there. So, with our little cooperation agreement, at least we can influence a few things. And we have helped very many people. Because many people now say the Ministry of Justice is open because Mao is there. Atumanyi, they say Atumanyi. Others, Mubamanyi nete Babamanyi. But we now have somebody Atumanyi. So people come there. The other day, this lady who was imprisoned in Masaka, you know, the lady whose relatives sold land to some rich man, and then the rich man brought the sale agreement because the Prime Minister had taken the lady back on the land using the authority of our office. So this rich man now used the court system and said, now this lady owes him money. So he was taken to court as a judgment debtor. So when the Prime Minister called me, and the family there also called me, we were able to intervene and have the lady discharged without any additional orders. Those are the things which make me sleep at night, because I know I'm at least making a difference. I may not solve all the problems of Uganda, but I solve a few here and there. So we have we were the first to cause the release of over 60 of the NUP activists. As usual, they don't give us credit. They never even thanked us. But that's okay. We really don't mind. And we continue to advocate for the release of more people. When the Nup woman MP was harassed in the islands, we are the ones who intervened, and the police standards unit started the discussions. So, to ask a question that what have you achieved so far, I can only say the process is on course. Now, the last bit of your question was, is it our intention to renew it? The cooperation agreement is a good thing. Otherwise, we would not have done it. But it is an agreement between two parties. So, as DP, we believe it should be renewed, even on better terms. And we have already started a conversation. Now, the renewal process will be more inclusive, because now the organs of the party will be discussing it. Previously, I had to use my prerogative as the chief executive of the party. So, I think we will announce again. Any last question in Luganda? The question, I answered it the last time. DP cannot leave a vacuum in terms of its constitution. I already announced here that we are going to have a delegates conference. In DP, the presidential candidate is also the leader of the party automatically. So just for emphasis, DP will have a president of the party and therefore a presidential candidate, because our constitution made it very easy. So I am still there, who is going to be vying to continue leading the party as we prepare our own transition within our own party also. By the way, I'm the 6th president of DP. I'm probably the only party president who is leading a party I never founded. All the others, when they are not happy, they go and found something at least so they can lead it. So the people really, there's a leadercracy in Uganda. People really want to lead things. So DP will have candidates from the president up to LC1. Otherwise, what would be our role as a political party? We are not an NGO. DP is a political party. Signing the cooperation agreement does not now mean DP has abandoned its role as a political party contending for power. So if there is going to be any other arrangement, it still doesn't exist. Yeah.